Welcome to Regionally Speaking, a forum that explores the distinctive aspects of Northeast Ohio's Western Reserve. And now, introducing your host, Professor of American Studies and the Director of the Western Reserve Studies Symposium at Case Western Reserve University, Gladys Haddad.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Regionally Speaking. Cities across the country are facing the worst recession since the Great Depression. How do you redevelop a city in these challenging economic times? In this series on the Social Justice Alliance Institute at Case Western Reserve University, we'll be joined by community experts and leaders, faculty and students as we discuss these important issues for Northeastern Ohio and its central city of Cleveland. Hello, and welcome to Regionally Speaking. The programming this year has to do with the Social Justice Institute at Case Western Reserve University. And with me today to talk about activism over time are Zernona Clayton. Zernona Clayton is affiliated with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. She's the author of I've Been Marching All the Time, and she's the founder and president and CEO of the Trumpet Awards Foundation. Also with me is Dante Gibbs, who is a graduate assistant for the East Cleveland Partnership and Social Justice Institute. He holds a BA in sociology from the Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences, and his concentration is community and social development. Mrs. Clayton, I'd like to go to you first, and we are going to be welcoming you on our campus on November 19th and 20th. The subject of this conference is social justice, race, and profiling, an intergenerational think tank. You are listed as one who is going to express voices from the past. You are a history maker. Will you tell us how this all came about? From the very beginning, can you give us some idea of how you became so involved in becoming an activist?
Well, I think it's hard to pinpoint a beginning, but I'd like to say the minute I woke up and realized I was in a world that had some defects in it, some shortcomings, and I could do something about them rather than complain. Now, when that started, I can't tell you. But as long as I can remember, I felt an activism inside my spirit. When I was in school as a youngster, we had, it was a fire escape mechanism. I'm from Oklahoma, and this was antiquated. Well, it wasn't antiquated then. It was kind of like the norm. That was a chute that opened on the door floor. And when there was a fire drill, thankfully there was never a fire, but the fire drills, we would slide down this chute and escape. Well, the first time I slid down the chute, I got kind of stuck because my body did not adhere to this metal, whatever this was. And then rather than several girls and I complained about, boy, we got stuck in there, we had a fire, we could get kind of lost in the shuffle. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, let's express that to our teacher because maybe nobody realizes this or they don't know it. So I took the critiquing to the principal, and they said, oh, well, we'll put something in there that makes the slides smoother and more efficiently. Now, that was a long time ago. And I can remember that might have been my beginning, that when I found a defect, when I found a problem, when I found an area that I could do something about, I did it. And I guess when I look back retrospectively of my life, that's what I've been doing all the time, find an area that needs improving and then do something about it. So it's been going on a long time.
It's been going on a long time, and it's making a difference. Well, let's turn to Dante Gibbs now, because he has a story that I want him to tell about how he got started in this work of being a social activist. Dante?
How you doing? It's so weird to consider myself as a lifelong activist because I'm only 22 years old. But thinking about the first time I felt myself being active in the community, I have to go back to 8th grade. And I remember me and my younger sister and my cousins, we would go to Forest Hills Park in East Cleveland. And we would just clean up the park because we just felt it was just too nice of a park to, just have trash all around, or we play with the ducks or like fed them bread and stuff like that. I know we're not supposed to, but that's things we did as kids. And I remember some of my friends would talking about me, saying like, clean up the park, like, why are you cleaning up the park? And to me, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it as being active, or me developing an early passion for community activism or community uplift. And so from there on, I just found myself always in these situations where I was doing something to better my community, whether it was tutoring at the Martin Luther King Civic Center during high school, and also in college. It's probably when it just threw me into the forefront, or just being active in East Cleveland. I used to tutor with the Terry Learning Center at Superior Elementary School. Also got involved with NOAH, the Northeast Ohio Alliance for Hope. I did door knocking. I went to some leadership training with them also, and also attend the East Cleveland Town Hall meetings. And now I'm the graduate assistant for East Cleveland Partnership and the Social Justice Institute.
All right. Well, now you've met Dante.
Right. And Dante, you're 22, but that really is all of your life. So
Yeah.
whatever the age is, that's your life.
Yeah.
Right. How are you planning to meet this request that we have for you to be with us on November 19th, and for the Social Justice, Race and Profiling and Intergenerational Think Tank? How are you going to approach that subject?
Well, I'll rarely plan in advance what I'm going to say specifically.
Oh.
I am always ready because when you know what your life experiences have been, it's easy just to start relating them. And I welcome every opportunity to talk about what I have done in my meager years. I tell people all the time that you should make your moments count. And as I look at what I've been trying to accomplish during my lifetime, it was making my moments count. That so many people come into this world, where we're all born into the world, that too many people occupy space instead of doing something. And so I'll be approaching it from the point that activism is a way of life. It is what Dr. King used to say about nonviolence. It's a way of life. It's nothing you just plan. It's nothing you do right now. It is a way of life, and it's in your spirit and in your heart. And you can be awakened at midnight, and you can start relating and telling the story of how you got in, how you got up, how you got over. And that's what I'll be doing, rather than just writing a speech and saying this is it. I'll be relating the things that are topical for the event, and that is, a lifetime activist or activism over time, or the kind of thing that I'm to speak about. It's a story I can tell on a moment's notice because I've lived it. Mm-hmm. I have felt it. I've been motivated by the things around me that make me get involved in what is before me. So that's what I'll do.
Will you be talking about the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, with which you just given us a bit of a clue about Dr. King? Can you tell us about how that all came about?
Yes, and I will be talking about my life with him, because being around a man like that, you just learn so much.
Yes.
You learn by looking, and you learn by listening, and then you end up doing. And so my life with him was filled with a composite of all of that. He practiced what he preached. When he talked about nonviolence being a way of life, I saw him practice it. I saw people spit in his face. I've seen people knock him down. And he never showed any signs of retaliation. That he said that when you're knocked down, the main thing you want to do is get up. And then once you're up, you find what is the motivation now to keep going. And his motivation was all the time, we got to change this. And he always said, these knocks are constant reminders that we got a lot of work to do. So let's get about doing it. And that's kind of a simplified version of wrapping up the scope of what this man was and what his life was all about, and his impact on those who were a part of him. And there are many, many stories to relate, the many incidents that you can recall. But what's beautiful about him is the memory of all of this wrapped up in one. Like, what would he do if he were in this situation? How would he have handled this? What would he have thought if someone would, advance themselves upon you with this kind of remark or activity or some violent action? And it keeps you living all the time in the memory and find you motivated to act as he would have acted.
How about, what were your responsibilities specifically? Did you have formal responsibilities within the
Yes.
Southern Christian Leadership?
Yes, I had some, but I was telling somebody that Dr. King had such faith in me, he just said I could do everything. Then I add to that, and he gave me everything to do. I had an assignment, supposedly. I was to handle all special occasions, his special dignitaries who come and visit him, special luncheons out of range, special dinners with guests, special preparation for boards, and all of those kinds of things were supposed to have been things I was supposed to do, which kind of were generic. But then he would just always add something to an assignment. So every day I had something new that I had to do. When we were in Jackson, Mississippi, during some turbulent moments, we had several people who got injured in the melee, and he would say to them, we've got to go to the hospital, and we're going to be treated shabbily, so let Zernona be the one who would escort these people to the hospital, because I think she will get a speedier action. And I did. I often tell that story that I went in the hospital with some injured worker with us, and there would be black people lined up there who'd been waiting a long time. And some of them could look like, farm workers, not necessarily dressed. And I was always dressed, and I always got immediate attention. I would walk in just to announce and kind of like put my name on the roll, but the receptionist would take me immediately. And I used to wonder what happened, and we talked it over that to them, they had judged my outward appearance versus the other people's external appearance and took me first. And I always was worried about that, but I think it's like human nature that whites who are practicing such strong, deep-rooted practices of segregation and discrimination continued to discriminate. They took me over those people who had been waiting there a long time. But I did meet my goal. I was able to get my person taken care of.
I'm glad.
And I'd go back and see if I could assist them in moving forward, so I would do that as well.
Oh, excellent. We're going to take a break now, and when we come back, we're going to hear a story from Dante Gibbs about how all of his passion was raised for what he was able to do, and as a very young man. We'll be back in just a moment.
Regionally Speaking is made possible through the generous support of the Social Justice Alliance Institute, the Case Western Reserve University Advanced Opportunity Grants, and the Case Western Reserve University Center for Community Partnerships. To learn more about the issues facing our region, visit our website at blog.case.edu www.eastcleveland.edu/WRSS.
We're back, and we're going to continue this conversation that has been opened by Zernona Clayton by turning now to Dante Gibbs, who is a young man, 22 years old, and my question for him is, how did the inspiration come about that led you to be, at your young age, a social activist?
I think just the fact that I'm from East Cleveland, it's a very urban area. It's a community rich in history as far as being the summer home of John D. Rockefeller.
Yes.
But recently, or since the 1970s, it kind of fell on hard times through white flight and recent government corruption. So being around that and not really knowing what it was, but trying to frame it as I went through high school and now through college, I can kind of look back and see that instead of just complaining about things, you kind of want to be the change that you want to see. And I always hear that saying, and I just see myself doing that now. Just growing up, it was challenging, but it was rewarding. It might not be the best place to some people, but it was the best place for me to grow up. I learned a lot. Our school system wasn't the best, but I was able to excel through the school system, and people seeing things in me that I didn't see in myself. And whether it was just doing like street cleanups with Noah, or just talking to residents, or people looking up to me as a role model, I kind of just took on that responsibility of, okay, not only do I have to progress for myself, but I also have to do it for my family, my friends, and my community as a whole, because I represent all of those people. And so I find myself in this unique position right now where I'm from East Cleveland. I went to Case Western Reserve, and I'm at the Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences now, and I'm the graduate assistant for the East Cleveland Partnership and working with the Social Justice Institute. So I'm in this unique position because I'm from East Cleveland, and so I'm an advocate for East Cleveland, but I'm also an advocate for my school. And so I'm kind of like the middle person that kind of connects everything together. And that's an interesting way to look at it, because before I was just like, okay, this might be a little overwhelming, but just being able to be in that experience. The East Cleveland Partnership, it kind of focused on things of like what should happen in East Cleveland as far as economic development, job creation, better housing. And the Social Institute, it kind of focused on how that should happen. So through racial healing and, through social justice. So both of those programs combine, and they're doing a collaborative project now that I'm working on. And it's called the Debut Collaborative Project. And we're going to do surveys for East Cleveland to get East Cleveland perceptions of East Cleveland. So what do East Cleveland residents think about themselves? And also to see what East Cleveland residents think about our neighbors, such as University Circle. Because we're so close together, but there's this big, strong division between East Cleveland and University Circle. So once we get those perceptions, it'll kind of serve as the baseline data as far as leading to like oral histories across generations from East Cleveland residents. And from that, the Social Justice Institute and East Cleveland government can kind of come together and envision not necessarily a plan for the future, but work together to make sure the residents' views and needs are incorporated in what happens to East Cleveland in the future. And so it's very exciting to be a part of that and going to a lot of meetings. I meet a lot of people. I'm still bad with names, but pretty good
You're
with
doing
faces.
fine.
And so it's very exciting to, to go to some of these meetings and see, what other people are doing. And everybody wants to hear my story, which I just feel is just, a regular story. But I guess I could talk about my background. We moved to East Cleveland back in 1995. My family, my mom, my dad, my brother, my older brother, and my sister. She's younger than me. And we moved with my aunt in a two-family house. And from there on, we went to all East Cleveland city schools, so Superior Elementary, Kirk Middle School, and Shaw High School. My family background, it wasn't, all peaches and cream. We had different like family problems or different struggles that many working class families experience, such as, if one day your lights would be cut off, or, things like that, like trouble with bills, or, just trying to make, your day to day. But my mom always instilled in me, the whole Christian faith, believing in God and working hard for what you want to have. And so I kind of subconsciously took that and used it for school. So school was my outlet to release all the anger, all the stress that I was experiencing. And so luckily I chose that path, and I was able to excel through middle school. Speaking of Dr. King, I know Ms. Clayton talked about him earlier. I won the Martin Luther King Award in 8th grade. And so that was a tremendous honor. And I also was the valedictorian of Shaw High School in 2006. And I won different scholarships to help me go to Case. So,
because you made that connection with Miss Clayton and Martin Luther King, you had an award, the Martin Luther King Award.
Yes.
How did that come about? What did you do to receive that award?
It came about as far as being involved in school activities or community activities, and definitely with good grades. I had good grades in 8th grade. So they definitely looked at grades, your involvement, and your career interests or your passions, and kind of why you feel, community is important. Mm-hmm. And so it was hard to kind of see why community was important, because I was 8th grade and I was about 14. So community was really like the last thing on my mind.
Yes.
But I found myself just always doing something for the community, such as like cleaning up the park, or we also had like a school garden in my elementary school.
Yes.
And to me, it was just fun because it was a way to get out of class on Fridays, but it also taught, it also gave you that sense of just going out into community and actually making a difference, and seeing residents come and, help out, or just talking to residents, I think is the most rewarding thing.
Dante,
Yes.
while you were preparing for that moment when you were competing and learning about Dr. King, was there any one particular character trait from Dr. King that you found most poignant and important to you?
I really found the most important trait that I found was his nonviolence, because it takes a lot of courage to experience some of the things that he experienced, and then to turn around and say, we're going to do it this way. We're not going to retaliate with violence. And it just goes against the norms, because usually if somebody hits you, you're going to hit them back. And that's kind of like what I was taught. But to see him prosper that much without retaliation, I kind of held on to that. And I still hold on to that to this day.
Ms. Clayton and Dante, both of you, you can continue your conversation. Mm-hmm. What do you see as the biggest challenges today, and how do you think they should be addressed?
I think the challenges today for us in my generation to keep working on motivating people like Dante, the younger generation. I hear so many people say, when are we going to get another Dr. King? My answer to that is, why don't you become one? I think that young people are so comfortable in the society in which we live today. They are not aware of the struggles that preceded them, and they think maybe the struggle is still over. But there's always something to do, and I find, and I love working around young people, you got to keep them motivated to change whatever is that obstacle of progress for the moment. Work to change that, work to improve that, and there's always room for improvement. And that's what I think is the challenge, is keep the generations moving. Keep moving. Keep moving.
All right. Dante, how about a response?
I definitely agree. Recently, I just kind of acknowledged the power of people of my age group. And we've seen that with the election of President Barack Obama. A lot of youth got involved, and everyone was passionate about that. But I do agree when you say we have to keep the motivation going to move the generations. And that is a big challenge, because, yes, we can come out in certain instances, but it has to be consistent. And I think it's hard, even when I talk to some of my friends and I tell them, oh, we're going to do a a playground bill, it's hard, even though it's good and they say, oh, that's good, you're going to build a playground, but it's still hard to get them so motivated to where they say, I'm going to take a part of it in it too. And so, and then I also want to add that with today's challenges, coming together, the whole thing of unity, I think we're so divided, even within our own race, and as a people in whole, in the country, we have this individual mentality, and so I think we really have to address coming together.
Do you know what I'm looking forward to? When the two of you meet. When you come to our campus, Ms. Clayton, on November 19th, you have to meet each other and know how very much you have inspired each other. Thank you. Thank you both very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Regionally Speaking, a forum that explores the distinctive aspects of Northeast Ohio. Today's program is made possible through the generous support of the Social Justice Alliance Institute, the Case Western Reserve University Advanced Opportunity Grants, and the Case Western Reserve University Center for Community Partnerships. To learn more about the issues facing our region, visit our website at blog.case.edu/WRRS. You can also email your comments, questions, and suggestions to regionallyspeaking@case.edu.
Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us next time for Regionally Speaking.